Sound the alarm.
Beep. That was me pressing the button.
Ah, your button's on your neck?
Yeah, it's not right here.
Oh, wow.
Where should I press it? My nose? Oh, we have far too much fun here. Arturo Vidal has made a fantastic decision to go to Bayern Munich. Sorry, Juventus fans, I know you're going to help me for this. Not fantastic maybe for his career, because Juventus did just make the Champions League final. But if he was to move somewhere, I feel this is the best fit for him. He could have stayed at Juventus. They could have went further, perhaps won the competition next year. But it seems like this is a trait right now at Juventus. Vidal moving, Tevez moving, and Paul Pogba potentially moving to Barcelona. It seems to be, as things are moving up for Juventus, the players are...
The Pogba thing was in relation to who was elected president, and I know who, if X was elected president, then Pogba would maybe go to Barcelona this year. Yeah. This season, X was not elected president, therefore he's staying.
Yeah, so...
Fill in X.
It's just, it seems like no one's really shown loyalty to Juventus, which is a little sad considering how close they won the Champions League and just won Serie A. Very successful season, if you ask me. But players...
And they won their the Serie A Cup.
Serie A Cup. So it's just, it shows that players, when they want to pursue another task, will do it. It will happen. This is what we talked about in salary caps. Like, players in football basically have control of their own fate. If they want to move, they're going to move. Because no one wants an unhappy player who doesn't want to play for a team. It never works out well for anyone. So, not to say that Vidal was unhappy, but going to Bayern Munich now after they sold Schweinsteiger, so you can imagine he's going to be a direct replacement for him. Vidal is a box-to-box dynamic midfielder. I talk about this kid all the time, and I always say kid, even though he's older than me. And it probably annoys him if he heard this, but I'm just doing it to try and entice a reaction out of him so that he can come in and cut Jason's hair. But Vidal, for me, fantastic footballer, will fit in very well at Bayern Munich. I can imagine him contributing a lot of goals, and with Xabi Alonso there, and Mario Götze, and just many talented players. I think the Vidal will be that middle piece, because you have Xabi Alonso who's going to sit deep. You have Lam, who plays in central midfield, who sits deep.
How much longer is Lam going to play for?
Couple
before
years.
Either going to the MLS or...
The best decision that Lam ever did was moving to defensive midfield from right back, because right back, big engine. He does have to move a lot, but his intelligence makes up for how much he needs to run. Guardiola, I've quoted this many times, Lam is one of the most, if not the most intelligent players he's ever worked with.
And it's not just Guardiola's quote. There's another one that they said always, if you're going to learn how to play defense in world football, you just watch tape of Philipp Lahm.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a fundamentally exquisite player.
Yeah, and he doesn't need to, his mind works better than him having to run and cover all these places. He can direct traffic to where he wants it to go, direct players, and Vidal will learn a lot with having Philipp Lahm behind him and players like Thomas Muller, Götze, Lewandowski in front of him. They're going to be a fantastic team. I wouldn't be surprised with this signing alone. Bold statement coming. Sound another alarm. Bold!
I don't know what to do.
Bold statement coming. I think they can challenge for the Champions League next year with this.
Well, that's what my question was going to be. Juventus was just in the Champions League final, so barring a move to, like, I guess, a Barcelona or Real Madrid, is this putting Vidal in the best chance scenario to win a Champions League? Is that his goal here? Because it's not like you're going to the Premier League trying to win a Premier League title, which is more competitive top to bottom, or you're going over to La Liga, where you're playing against the two best footballers in the world.
Yeah.
You chose the Bundesliga. Your only real competition in that league is Borussia Dortmund, who simply just... Wolfsburg did play well last year, but look at the goal differential between the whole table. So it just seems like he's doing this for the reason of the Champions League, and I hope Bayern makes a big run, because that is an all-star squad from top to bottom.
And the thing about Bayern Munich this year that stands out is they were basically plagued with injuries. Robben did not play in the latter stages, neither did Franck Ribery. So you think about those guys coming back, but that's just a what if. What happens if they get injured again? They could get injured. That happens in football. But Guardiola,
they fared pretty well even with the injuries, which is impressive, and he's a good boss, a good coach. And
I think Vidal will be essential, because when you think about playing against Barcelona, at the new camp, say they come up against them again this year, they missed that work rate, I think, in the middle for the full like probably 90 minutes of each game, because they did change it up. Xabi Alonso's not got the legs anymore to continually try and support forward with those passes that Schweinsteiger would have contributed if he was fully fit. And track back, but Vidal can do everything.
That was the comp they made in Sky Sports Transfer Center and BBC, was that Vidal is going to fill the void that Schweinsteiger is leaving.
Yeah.
And even though they're not asimilar players, they do share certain similarities in the midfield, which will be very interesting to see, because you're just from losing Schweinsteiger, who really was a major, I guess, cog in the big Bayern Munich machine.
In that team, legend.
Yeah, and he simply made everybody else turn.
Yeah,
when you watch the highlights, when you watch the reruns of the games, So Vidal fitting in the midfield, at least observationally, and I always say observationally for the reason that I'm simply using this as an observational basis. I like the fit. Everything I saw out of the Copa America this year was like he was a huge
player.
Huge player for them. You just got to make sure not crash his Ferrari again.
You're right. That's one thing I was going to touch upon. But
What
I
is
just
his
want to give you credit for the point he did make. Is that Schweinsteiger? That's exactly what he does. He's the engine in there. Just makes everything tick, and he's got great vision. And this is why I said I think he's going to be a great
commercial?
signing.
That's German engineering.
Yeah,
is that Volkswagen?
I was talking to actually our COO Steve out here, who was talking about the German political system.
The original audio guy.
The original audio guy, who was talking about the German political system and how it just basically sums up Germany in a lot of sports. And that is true. They have got fantastic overall players. They haven't got the outstanding talent of Messi or Ronaldo, but they've got a bunch of fantastic players when they come together, work very well. So I think that Vidal, even though he's not German, he fits into that style of play. He could very easily walk into the German team and play that style of football.
Maybe it might be a little more. Last thing, I guess, would you say Bayern's going to be a more sped-up machine now because Vidal brings in a little bit more speed than Schweinsteiger had?
Yeah, because Schweinsteiger, even though he's only 30, people imagined that he was getting on a bit because he's been playing for so many years. Yeah. But Vidal is young, he is adaptive, he is tenacious, he's aggressive. All those words just definitely fit into him. He's a bit of a loose cannon, though, as you mentioned. He needs to be tamed. Guardiola can do it. He's a very strict manager.
How old is Vidal? 25?
I think he's like 28.
Okay.
I'm going to go
so he's past the point of he should be maturing.
So he shouldn't be digressing like he did in the Copa America, but this is what I talked about that tournament. He would never do that, I don't think, if it was a Champions League game or something like that, because it's such a serious tournament for him. But it should be taking everything seriously when it comes to international and world football. And Chile ended up winning it, so you have to say that he was a crucial part in their team this year. But not
more transfer news? Well, rumors. So Karim Benzema. Potentially going to Arsenal. I tweeted about this.
I want to throw up this tweet.
I threw a shocking tweet that made Francis think
Arsene Wenger hijacked your Twitter.
And he might have, including an emoji that went with it. I think Benzema and Arsenal fit supremely. I think he has, I've noticed, I like talking about Karim Benzema because there's something patient about his game. And when you watch him play, especially when he gets inside the box, he creates opportunities and he's unselfish.
He has got the striker's intake to be able to get a shot away very quickly, which is something you need. It's a very Aguero-esque.
I think Arsenal just needs unselfish players.
True.
But maybe not, maybe not.
Well, the one thing I'm going to disagree with is that you need to realise who's the Arsenal starting striker right now. Giroud. French, they don't play as well together in the national team. So if you're thinking Benzema's coming in, is that going to unsettle Giroud, who somewhat came into his role as Arsenal's frontman, gets into the box more, gets on the end of crosses and is very useful at doing what he has to do. But when he plays for France, if you noticed in the World Cup, Benzema's that starting man. He would sometimes drop deep, sometimes drop left. This is Giroud I'm talking about because Benzema was that frontman. He didn't fit into that role.
So what's Wenger going to do with him? What would you do if you were Arsene Wenger?
I would start Benzema. For me, I think Giroud is a... I don't know. When he's hot, and when he's cold, he's freezing.
He's streaky.
Yeah, so like the thing is about him, towards the end of the season, he threw that theory back in my face because he was consistent and he played very well. But do I think that he'll be consistent if someone like Benzema comes into the team? I don't know. I think little things like that would throw Giroud off. That's why in France he never really flourished because for the French national team I'm stating, not for his team before Arsenal. French national team he never flourished because he's not considered that star striker that he wants to be because Giroud's got an ego as well. But he's a fantastic footballer when you get him in form. So on the topic of that, before we go into some ridiculous rumours surrounding Manchester United involving Wayne Rooney, Thomas Muller, apparently a £69 million bid was rejected by Bayern Munich. Manchester United trying to just raid Bayern Munich's team after taking Schweinsteiger in. Thomas Muller, who is a fantastic footballer, highly underrated, and I apologise to everyone for not including him in the underrated clip because he definitely should have been in there. I think he would fit in perfectly at Manchester United, but that's just the slight fanboy in me coming out to say that I would love to see Schweinsteiger and Muller in a red jersey, but I just can't see Bayern Munich letting him go after just letting Schweinsteiger go.
Rooney?
The most ridiculous rumour of them all. Wayne Rooney making a trip back to Everton. We've just built a team around you. We've just brought in Schweinsteiger. I love saying that name, and everyone will love saying that name. Schneiderlin.
They've spent £228 million.
£228 million since Van Gaal has came in. It's a lot of money to be spent to just ship off your captain to Everton, who I don't understand why you would do that. But
if you were to go to Everton?
If he were to go to Everton, and Lionel Messi is having a medical right now at Glasgow Celtic.
Let's say PSG.
We never know. Messi sometimes plays with Celtic in our FIFA What If games. And talking about that,
subscribe to TYT Sports. It is free. You can click on the end card that's about to pop up. It might be up right now. There's a little box around it.
My hand's not in it anymore.
It's free. We are gaining on 200,000 subscribers, which we actually could not do without every single subscriber that came beforehand. So with every old subscriber, we thank you. For everyone that's stuck with us, we thank you even more. And for every new subscriber, welcome.
And there will be a Q&A once we reach 200,000. So you know what we do in our spare time. And it is not pretty.